Hey, Autumn Athletes, Larry Sorensen here, and today I'm going to chat with Charles MacPherson to find out what makes him an Autumn Athlete that's not done yet. Before we get started, as always, if you enjoy our content, please like, subscribe, and ding that bell for notifications. All right, let's get this thing going. Charles, thanks so much for joining us today. Why don't you kick us off with a brief introduction of yourself?
Thanks, Larry. My name is Charles MacPherson. I'm 60 years old. I live on Long Island and I work as a school teacher, and I'm an autumn athlete. So I'm happy to be here.
Nice. All right, well, great to meet you. Well, we're glad that you're an Autumn Athlete, but I do want to get a little bit of history of what got you to this point. So I guess my first question would be, did you participate in athletics or sports as a youngster, as a midlife adult? Tell us a little bit about your athletic history.
Right. Well, the short answer is I'm a very late bloomer. As a child, it was basically neighborhood sports, football, baseball, foot races with the neighborhood kids, but really nothing organized. I'm always kind of guy who kept to myself, and I guess I sort of avoided team sports. In high school, I played basketball, and that was about it. I did a little bit of running on my own. I had some knee trouble, but basically, I was a couch potato for many decades, and every now and then I get in shape for a bit. But I came to sports much later, this
Mhm.
past decade.
I know you had mentioned to me in our pre-interview a little bit about some of the issues you had with your knees and kind of walk us through a little bit because I always kind of like to ask people if they had setbacks throughout their life before they got to this point of where they're being active as an autumn athlete. So kind of walk us through some of those issues maybe that you had and some of your thoughts on maybe how you overcame them or what you could have done differently throughout that time period leading up to now where you're feeling good and you're doing things actively.
So I always loved to run as a youngster, and then I tried to get into the jogging, craze and the when I was in college and stuff like that. And always noticed my knees would bother me a lot, so much so that it hurt to run. And so even though I loved it, I kind of left it alone, and I did basically a whole lot of nothing into my young adult years. I was focused on my job and things like that. But every now and then I try to get back into running because I loved it, and my knees always bothered me. So that's really the reason I didn't do it. In my 30s, I got into tennis and I became like a tennis fanatic, but I had knee trouble. I had so much knee trouble that after a while it was hard to walk. I would have swollen knees. I went to get some advice on it, and I got some MRIs and things like that taken, and the person I was seeing said, your knees are very bad. You have the knees of a guy in his 80s, and you should really have knee replacement, but you're too young because you'll need to have it done more than once. So that really scared the hell out of me. So I avoided running. So that's taking us up to the 40s. Yeah, I did a lot of couch potato uh, stuff. And so I figured, okay, what I'm going to do is just try to maintain my knees. I don't want replacement knees. So I'm going to do rowing. I'm going to do swimming. I'm going to do bicycling, things that don't put pressure on my knees. And all that worked.
You did have that period there where you're doing some of those other things. Then you had your kind of your couch potato period, as you call it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so then what or who inspired you to get moving again and get going, and how did that all transpire?
Yeah. There's an author I follow named Clarence Bass, who is very inspirational. And I follow a lot of what he says. It's sensible. And not only him, but other people talk about walking, how walking is so good for you. And then I was thinking, well, what about, is that going to hurt my knees,
Mhm.
So I gradually said, well, let me just start walking and see what happens. Started walking just easy, quarter mile at a time. And my knees felt okay. And so I just kept walking a little bit more and a little bit more. This is all within the last 5 years or so. And my knees felt fine. So it made me wonder, and I started doing more research and I actually went back to the doctors and said, how are my knees doing now? Can you take a look at them? Am I good to go? Can I do more on my feet? And to my surprise, the answer came back, your knees are really not that bad. They're like a 3 out of 10, meaning 10 is the worst. Yeah, 10 is as bad as they could be. They're only like a 3. So I got cleared to do all sorts of stuff. So I said, I wonder what it would feel like if I jogged a bit. So then I mixed in some jogging and walking. That felt fine. If I felt some soreness and pain, I would back it off. And I also came across a program called Knees Over Toes, which helped me a lot. It's like strengthening the lower leg tibialis, which I didn't even know what that was, strengthening your hips, strengthening your ankles and calves. And another guy I follow is Jeff Galloway. So he has this walk, run, or rather run, walk, run method. So that's what I would do. I would set my little timer, my wrist timer, and say run for jog for 30 seconds, walk for 30 seconds until I found a combination that worked for me. And I said, to my surprise, my knees are feeling better. I'm able to do this as long as I don't overdo it.
Mhm.
So, yeah, one of the philosophies I took to this day is don't run for me. Don't run consecutive days. Just and don't push into pain. If I feel pain, back it off. I think one thing I forgot to say is I got big into cycling about 10 years ago. And I think strengthening my quads also really just helped me a lot as far as running.
And what type of cycling are we talking about? Road racing, track racing? What did you do?
I just started with recreational cycling, got a bike and joined a couple of bike clubs. Just met a bunch of great people going out for a 30-mile, 50-mile easy ride
Yeah.
on the weekends. And since I'm off in the summer, I could do it more in the summer. One of the groups called Mineola Cycle, I noticed they had a bike racing team. And I was astonished to see this guy, friendly guy named Chris, in his 50s racing. And I said, how could this possibly be? Someone's a bike racer in their 50s. I don't get it. A lot of people are not even doing anything. He said, oh yeah, yeah. You can be really fast. You just have to train up to it. So like a lot of themes in my life that planted a seed in my head, like to follow up on over the next year or two. Got a coach and then I started training. So first I started just to answer your question, just casual bike riding, and then gradually I got into bike racing.
The bike racing, was that distance racing, track racing? What
Oh
type
yeah,
of
so at
racing?
first it was what they call circuit racing. So I lived on Long Island. We would race in Prospect Park, Central Park, Floyd Bennett Field. So these are circuit races that are maybe 3 to 5 miles around, and you go around a few times at breakneck speed with dozens of other guys, wheel to wheel, or a couple inches off your front wheel, a couple inches off your back wheel, packed on either side, sometimes going, 30, 40 miles an hour. So really fun and really sketchy too.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay. So I know that you do participate in a lot of different type of sporting activities. I always like to ask people about their achievements. And, on this channel, we have some world record holders and different events and things like that. And that's great. But I'm also very interested in the average person like you and I that just want to be really active and kind of make our own goals and do great things, even though we're never going to be world record holders necessarily.
right.
So, tell me a little bit about your thoughts on your personal best achievements in any of the activities that you're participating in.
I was doing bike racing for maybe over the course of 3, 4 years. And I noticed with bike racing, you have to dedicate all your free time to training, at least maybe 10 hours a week or something like that. And for a guy in my 50s, the way they categorize it is I'm in with guys in their late teens, 20s, 30s in a big pack. Very difficult for me to win anything. It was a struggle for me to just hold on. So I decided, and plus I had a couple of bad crashes in bike racing. So I decided, maybe I want to come at things differently. And I switched my orientation to um, just focusing on having a great health span and great lifespan and being as fit as I could. And I'm going to get to your question, but what I realized was the important markers that I want are a really high VO2 max, and I want really strong leg strength and explosive strength. So I started to think of it that way. Which sports could I do where I can still have fun in the sport, but it's going to meet these two goals, which are really primary goals of having a high VO2 max and great leg strength. And I came to like sprint based sprint based exercises. I'm just going to come out and say I'm not a world record holder. No world records are in danger with me. I feel like my goals are for myself, personal bests. So yeah, I'm not really ranked in anything, but in track and field, my best events seem to be 400 and 800. and I've been in it 2 years now. I seem to gradually keep getting personal records each time and getting a little bit better. So my 800 is 304 I just did a few days ago, and my 400 115 I think. So for me, those are great. For the general, track and field community, it's okay. Um, I also do rowing, erging. It's an indoor rowing machine. I just started racing that, and I was happy to get down below 730. So I think I did 724 for a 2000 meter. That was great for me, but it's not world record, but it puts me in the superior um, class of people my age.
Mhm.
And in bike racing, I've been on the podium like probably 3, 4 times, but it's mostly an age group. Like when certain events are broken down by age group, then I can get onto the podium. But in the general podium, I really can't.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm happy with all that, but you're not going to be reading about it in the paper.
Yeah, but you encompass the whole meaning behind autumn athletes that are not done yet, which is
Yeah,
people beyond their physical prime that still keep moving, set goals, and train hard to achieve them. So,
yeah,
you are the person that this podcast represents. So, um, hats off to the world record holders, but the rest of us, we're just pushing hard and trying
yeah,
the best we can. So,
right.
since you kind of do all different things, do you have anything specific that you're chasing right now? I know you're newer to track and field. Do you have any specific goals or events or sports that you kind of want to delve into?
Well, the three sports are really track bike racing, road bike individual time trials, and then the track and field events that I mentioned. And I also like those 2K rowing races, which happen like in the winter. I looked into some other sports like rock climbing and surfing, but I haven't really yet had enough time to, devote to it.
Yeah.
Those interest me. But as far as goals, it's a little maybe unusual in that I don't plan too far ahead. I see what's on the calendar like 2 weeks out. Do I want to do a running race? Do I want to do a bike race? What's available? I sign up. So like even this coming Saturday, there's the New Jersey individual time trial bike championships, and there's also a track and field event, I think, over in Queens. So I have to decide. I'll probably do the bike race.
So you had mentioned to me that with this philosophy of um, just kind of picking out races that are in the near future, obviously you don't have a lot of time to train specifically for them. So your
Yeah,
kind of mission is to stay in general fitness. So tell us a little bit about how you do that. So give us your training regimen and how do you stay at this certain level where, hey, there's a bike race in 2 weeks or hey, there's a track
right.
meet in 3 weeks and I'm going to go run and I'm going to do really well. How do you do it?
I'm figuring it out as I go, but what I've uh, gravitated towards is like a minimalist philosophy. What is the least amount I can do to get the biggest result? And and it's hard to state it simply, but um, generally, if I can get my heart rate up to max once or twice a week through intervals, that goes a really long way. And the rest of the stuff can be kind of zone two or even zone one. So every day I try to exercise for about, say, 2.5 hours. That includes when I wake up, I go for a walk. After lunch, I go for a walk. After dinner, I go for a walk. And then maybe every other day, I'll do something hard, like an interval workout. And then I'll also do a lot of zone two. Like I'll just go out for a 2 hour, 3 hour bike ride. I'll go out for a 3 mile jog. Um, that seems to do it. My Apple Watch tracks my VO2 max, so it's never been better, really. Depending on this time of year, I might focus to one sport a little more. Like right now, I'm gearing a little bit more towards bike racing. In the winter, I'll gear a little bit more towards rowing. So say I want to be in peak shape for a track race. I'll do two little easy runs a week, and then I'll do one all-out interval session, you know. And as far as intervals, the one I like right now is called Norwegian Protocol. That's 4x4s, 4 minutes as hard as you can, 4 minutes recovery, and do that 4 times. And that's like a secret sauce in a way. That works, by the way, both for bike and running, I found.
Mhm.
It's really exhausting.
So you're mentioning kind of how you stagger your heavy training. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about how you approach your rest in general, maybe sleep, or you kind of alluded to it already with resting between intervals, but give us an idea how you recover in general to be able to maintain a steady fitness state.
Yeah, I think a lot of people overtrain, and I've overtrained in the past too. And I also had a coach for a while as a bike racer, so I know a little bit about all the different strategies. You have to get enough sleep, so I put a big priority on sleep, and I try to get 8 hours a night. And that I might need to do a nap for 30 minutes in a day to make sure I hit that. If I'm not sleeping right, it's giving me a sign something might be going on as far as I'm too stressed out or I'm not recovered right. So sleep is really important. A lot of easy zone one, like walking and that kind of thing. Um, yeah, I like to go hard, really hard, a couple of times a week, and the rest just kind of easy, but to always stay moving. So they talk about like active recovery, just going for a walk, going for an easy bike ride. I love to swim. I also didn't mention that I do weights once a week, all full body. Sometimes I do it on one day, and sometimes I'll split it into 2 days.
So how do you feel your body?
To explain it simply, try to avoid processed foods. Try to only eat whole foods. Um, I basically eat the same meals every day, so it's I guess mostly carb, and then some protein and healthy fats. But
Yeah, give us a sample day of what you would eat.
okay, sample day. So it's really the same thing for breakfast every day. I love oatmeal with some fruit in it, banana, blueberries, some almonds, grass-fed whole milk. I'll have that and a coffee. Later in the morning, I'll have maybe a yogurt for a snack. For lunch, I'll maybe have a peanut butter with honey on wheat and an apple. I might have some nuts or something like that if I need a snack in the afternoon. And then for dinner, I have like a big bowl of potato, brown rice, vegetables, put some olive oil in there, and I'll have some fish, sardines or salmon. Most times, if I don't do that, I might have a hard-boiled egg. And then that pretty much tides me over. I'm kind of done eating by 6 or so. I have a whole nighttime routine where I wind down and I'm getting, ready for bed around 9 p.m. or something like that. So I try not to eat or drink after say 6 p.m.
You're doing well. You're feeling good at this point.
Yeah.
Breaking your own records, as you said. You're
Yeah.
16 years old. So what is motivating you to do this and keep pushing hard?
I guess maybe I got scared of getting older, actually. It just crept up on me. I don't know how it happened. And yeah, you hear things about people getting older, they lose their mobility, they have health problems, they might need to be taken care of by somebody. I guess we all need help sometimes, but if we can mitigate, seems to me it's like low-hanging fruit. I've heard it said that exercise, if I have this right, gives a 400% improvement in all cause everything, illnesses, death, injury. And it's like most people don't do it. I'm still trying to get my head around. I guess I didn't do it for decades too, but as I got older, it's like, okay, I can see my odds are changing now. So if I can mitigate and just stay on top of this, it's not that bad. And it's really fun working out and racing. So it's not like misery. I'm probably in the best shape of my life right now. And I wouldn't have thought that. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have thought that years ago.
So you got to this point now, and that's good. But if you could turn back time, is there anything maybe you've done a little differently over the years?
Just start earlier, easy to say, but and just I think once you get in the fitness habit, just stay with it. Don't take breaks. And even athletes who are training, I think sometimes they cycle it like they're going hard during a certain part of the year. Then they have an off season where they don't do much and they get out of shape and then they have to get back in shape again. I think it's better just maintain fitness, just maintain a steady fitness year round so that any time you can just kind of spring into action, So that's where I'm at. Try to be in near optimal fitness year round.
And you had mentioned something to me earlier about being maybe a little cautious about all the expert advice out there, and maybe testing the waters and finding out what works for you. Tell me a little bit more about that thought process.
Well, I do a lot of reading, I do a lot of thinking. I've had a coach, I've not had a coach. And I'll just give you an example. I was told many years ago that my knees were shot, that I shouldn't be on my feet, that I had to find exercise that's not weight bearing. And I listened to that and I kind of lost a decade of doing what I like best, which is being on my feet, playing basketball, playing tennis, running, sprinting. Um, And it didn't need to go that way. I think if I had just researched it more or did some more thinking on my own, I could have found a routine to strengthen my quads, strengthen my knees, ease back into it. So it's just an example. There's many examples. You don't have to look far to find different opinions on things. Some say you need 300 grams of protein. Other people say it would be almost impossible not to get enough protein. You don't need it, add the extra protein. So you have to make your own decisions on it. I've had quote unquote friendly fights with other cyclists. They're like, no, you've got to do 10 hours of training a week or 15. You're going to have 200-mile rides. And there's an author named, a scientist named Marty Gabala, who talks about how in a couple of minutes of all out max heart rate training, you can get the result of like 2 hours of zone two, something like I'm just paraphrasing, but you know, and so I'll take that and experiment with it, see how does that work for me? Does it actually work? How does it feel to do it? What are my results like? How do I feel? How am I sleeping? How am I recovering? So just experiment on your own, I would say.
Yeah.
There's experts on everything, so have to find your own way, I think.
Yeah, I have a lot of folks ask me about, what do you do? What's the best way and stuff? And I say the same thing.
Yeah,
I've tried many different things, and what's going to work exactly for me is not going to work exactly for you. There's
right.
kind of some basic ideas that seem to be pretty consistent, but yeah, it is something to be smart about and experiment for sure.
Yep.
So, okay, so we've kind of covered a lot of different topics and how you approach things. So I want to kind of condense it a little bit. So I always ask, what's your secret sauce to health and fitness? And if you could sell that, what would the ingredients to that recipe be?
My secret sauce maybe is a little unusual. I just wanted to mention that it's important to focus on your mental health because in my opinion, everything really comes from the mental health. If you're not in a good place, you're not feeling good enough about yourself, where you're going through some issues, you may not exercise, you may not want to do anything. So that's really important. If you need help, go ask for help, talk to somebody, you know. As far as the physical side of secret sauce, I really like the short interval approach, like going really hard for short periods of time, once or twice a week. It's like a secret sauce. So if you did mostly zone two on things, but you ripped it a couple times a week and really went flat out, either in running sprints or in bike sprints. I like to do it through entering races because then I have my cake and eat it too. I don't have to do a separate training session. The race is the training. So that's it, really getting your heart rate revved up a couple of times is like a secret sauce because I think you might be able to bike 200 miles or so a week and you won't be in as good of shape as say you bike 50 miles, but did a couple of these little interval sessions.
Mhm.
I also like to spread the stress around. Like if I run one day, then I'll bike the next day, then I'll swim the next day, then I'll lift the next day so that my joints are not getting too worn out, if that makes any sense.
For someone out there that is maybe in that spot where, their mental state is affecting them getting physically fit, do you have any maybe specific thoughts or advice of how you work through that, or maybe how they could work through that?
Oh, I worked through it. I'll tell you, say, when I was around 50, I was kind of in a dark place and I was depressed and I was overweight and I was not active. I had a very nice couple who are friends of mine, Bill and Nancy. They're lifelong athletes, triathletes, and I reached out to them. I was like, "Can you guys help me? Can I come out, work out with you, ease back into riding and stuff like that?" So they helped me out. And then, it's kind of synergistic because once you start moving, that helps your that helps your brain, that helps your mental health, and that's what I would say. And then I found somebody that I could talk to, got some help, reached out that way. So the tricky thing is once you start moving, you're going to feel better mentally. But in order to feel better mentally, you got to start moving. So that is where I think other people can be helpful, like who can inspire you and give you a helping hand.
Well, Charles, I want to thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your fitness journey with us. I'd like
My
to
pleasure.
wrap up by just giving you the floor to kind of give us some final thoughts.
I guess I say just get moving and keep moving. You're going to feel better. I think we're all going to get older and nobody gets out of here alive, but um, the longer you can keep having fun. I met some terrific people at track events, and bike events, so friendly. So get moving. I think find a community of people to connect to, even if you're an introvert like I sort of am. even if you keep to yourself. Yeah, find some like-minded folks and just keep moving, take care of yourself. And we don't know how many years we're going to have, but we can have some control over the quality of the year. That's my take on it.
Well, there you go, folks. Charles MacPherson. He is definitely an automathlete that's not done yet. Remember, keep moving, set your own goals, and train hard to achieve them. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time.